9 games. 45 plate appearances. 0 home runs. The questions were building. The pressure was mounting. And then, first pitch of the very first at-bat of the homestand, Shohei Ohtani stepped in against Luis Castillo, took a 2-strike slider on the inner edge and sent it 432 feet into center field. Home run. Number 23. Drought over. Dodger Stadium went absolutely nuclear. But there is so much more to this story than one swing. Tonight we are breaking down everything: the home run, the slump that preceded it, what it means for the rest of the season, and the full game that followed. This is the complete picture. Right now. Welcome back to Baseball Tribune, the fastest, most accurate, and most complete source for MLB news, highlights, and analysis anywhere on YouTube. If this is your first time here, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe right now, then turn on that notification bell because we are here every single day covering the biggest stories in baseball and you do not want to be the last person to know what is happening with the most important player in the sport. Tonight we have a big one. Shohei Ohtani ended his 9-game home run drought in the most dramatic fashion possible. A leadoff blast in the very first at-bat of the Dodgers' homestand against the Seattle Mariners. We are going to break down that swing in complete detail, explain exactly what it means for Ohtani's form heading into August, look at the full game that followed, and put the entire situation into the context of what has been a complicated and fascinating stretch of the 2026 season for the best two-way player in baseball history. Stay with us the whole way through. There is a lot to cover and all of it matters. Let's get into it. The Los Angeles Dodgers returned to Dodger Stadium for the first time since before the All-Star break, coming off a 9-game road trip through New York and Philadelphia that went 6 wins and 3 losses. For a team that had been on the road for nearly 2 weeks, dealing with travel, the pressures of a tight pennant race, and the ongoing questions about Shohei Ohtani's health and form, arriving back home represented a genuine opportunity to reset. And the timing could not have been more important. The August 3rd trade deadline was just days away. Edwin Diaz was expected to return from the injured list Wednesday. Blake Snell was close to coming back from his elbow procedure. Utility man Enrique Hernandez had already been activated. The pieces were coming back, the roster was getting healthier, and this homestand was a chance to start building toward the postseason run that the entire organization had been planning since spring training. Standing in the way on Tuesday night were the Seattle Mariners, a team sitting in the middle of the American League West, carrying a collective batting average of just .230, one of the worst offensive numbers in all of Major League Baseball. Mariners starter Luis Castillo took the ball against Dodgers All-Star Justin Wrobleski. On paper, this looked like a favorable matchup for Los Angeles. But before any of that mattered, before the lineups were even properly tested, Shohei Ohtani had already changed the entire trajectory of the night. Shohei Ohtani stepped into the batter's box as the leadoff hitter in the bottom of the first inning, and what followed was one of the most anticipated at-bats of the entire season. He was facing Luis Castillo, a veteran right-hander with a career track record of success against the Dodgers, including a 3-0 record with a 2.83 ERA in 5 career starts against Los Angeles. Castillo had the experience in the arsenal to be dangerous. And with the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes, he reached for what he believed would be his best weapon. A slider thrown at 86.5 miles per hour, targeting the low and inner edge of the strike zone. It was not a bad pitch. On a 2-strike count, low and inside to a right-handed power hitter, a slider in that location is supposed to generate either a weak groundout or a swing and a miss. That is exactly what Castillo was going for. Ohtani had different plans. He kept his lower body remarkably stable as the pitch approached. No early weight transfer, no overeager front foot movement, none of the timing issues that had been creeping into his swing over the previous 9 games. His hands worked through the zone with a bat speed and precision that only a handful of hitters in the sport can consistently produce on a 2-strike, low and inside breaking ball. The contact was flush. The sound off the bat was different from anything else you hear at the ballpark. That deep, dense crack that tells everyone in the stadium what just happened before the ball has even traveled 10 feet. Ohtani knew immediately. He took 2 steps out of the box and simply began walking. Calm, composed, the walk of a man who has done this enough times to know when the ball is not coming back. And it wasn't. The drive carried 432 feet into deep center field, completely beyond the reach of the Mariners' outfielders, and landed in the seats as Dodger Stadium erupted around him. A solo home run. His 23rd of the season. His 10th leadoff home run of the year. The 34th leadoff homer of his entire MLB career. And most importantly, the home run that ended a 9-game, 45-plate appearance drought that had become the most talked-about storyline in the National League. Tens of thousands of fans rose to their feet simultaneously. The MVP chants started immediately and filled every corner of the stadium. And Shohei Ohtani rounded the bases in his characteristic calm, acknowledging the crowd with a raised arm as he completed his trip home. It was the perfect moment. For the player. For the team. For every fan inside Dodger Stadium who had been waiting 9 games to see this exact thing happen. To truly understand why this home run was significant beyond just the statistics, you need to look closely at what the swing itself revealed. Over the previous 9 games, the concerns about Ohtani's offensive approach had become increasingly specific. He had been falling behind in counts too frequently, making early contact on pitches outside the strike zone, and failing to capitalize on mistakes by opposing pitchers that, when he is fully locked in, he normally punishes with authority. His timing had become inconsistent. His ability to handle difficult pitches on the outer third and the inner edge of the zone had declined from the elite level he showed in the first half of the season. The most alarming trend was what happened to his power output. His batting average had held reasonably well throughout the slump. He was still making some contact. But the trajectory of the balls he was hitting had changed. Flat grounders and shallow fly balls instead of the towering drives that had produced 55 home runs last season and established him as the unanimous MVP. His exit velocity on non-contact swings had dropped, and his launch angle on balls in play had flattened considerably. All of that made the swing against Castillo's slider even more meaningful. Ohtani did not try to overpower the pitch. He did not lunge for it or attempt to muscle it over the fence with upper body strength. He stayed back, kept his lower body loaded, drove his hips through the zone with the timing and efficiency of a hitter operating at his best, and produced contact so clean and centered that the ball traveled 432 feet on what was technically a difficult pitch. Low inside on the corner at 2 strikes. That is not a swing you make when your timing is broken. That is a swing you make when your timing is coming back. Manager Dave Roberts had said all week that he believed Ohtani would find his way out of the slump. He had pointed to Ohtani's track record, the fact that earlier this season, the Japanese superstar went through a 26-game stretch hitting just .200 before immediately catching fire and dominating opposing pitching for weeks. Roberts' confidence was based on what he sees in Ohtani every day in practice, the quality of his preparation, the consistency of his work ethic, and the ability of elite hitters to self-correct over time. On Tuesday night, Ohtani proved his manager right in the most emphatic way possible. Now let us put the 9-game drought and Tuesday's home run into the broader context of Ohtani's 2026 season, because the full picture is more nuanced than the recent headlines suggested. Going into Tuesday's game, Ohtani had played 9 games since the All-Star break. In those 9 games he recorded 7 hits in 38 at-bats, a .184 batting average over that stretch. All 3 of his extra base hits were doubles. He had 3 RBIs and 2 walks. And he had not hit a home run since July 12 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The same day he had fluid drained from his left knee in a procedure that was designed to relieve the irritation that had been building in the joint throughout the first half. The timing of the knee procedure and the beginning of the home run drought are not a coincidence. When a hitter's lower body is not fully stable and comfortable, the kinetic chain that generates power in the swing is disrupted. The force that becomes exit velocity and launch angle starts from the ground, from the legs, through the hips, through the core, and through the hands. If anything in that chain is even slightly compromised, the output at contact is reduced in exactly the way Ohtani's numbers showed during those 9 games. But zoom out from those 9 games and the full season picture tells a very different story. Through 102 games on the season entering Tuesday's game, Ohtani was hitting .282, exactly the same batting average he posted during his unanimous MVP campaign last season. His OPS sat at .907, ranking 6th best in the entire National League. He had 22 home runs and 61 RBIs entering Tuesday, numbers that would represent a career year for most hitters in this league, and numbers that remained well ahead of the pace for multiple previous seasons in Ohtani's career. The reason the expectations feel so much higher is because of what Ohtani himself established last season. 55 home runs, 102 RBIs, a 4th unanimous MVP award. That is the standard he created for himself. And when a player sets that kind of bar, any stretch that falls short of it gets scrutinized intensely. Tuesday's home run was not just the end of a drought. It was a reminder that Ohtani's standard is still in reach, and that the player who hit 55 home runs last season is still in there, still capable of producing that level, and still the most dangerous hitter in this lineup on any given night. As significant as Ohtani's home run was, the game itself produced one of the most frustrating results the Dodgers have had this season. After Ohtani's leadoff blast gave Los Angeles a 1-0 lead, the Mariners answered almost immediately. Cal Raleigh hit a solo home run in the second inning to tie the game at 1-1. Then in the fourth inning, Julio Rodríguez added another solo shot and Rob Refsnyder, who had come off the injured list just that afternoon, drove a two-run home run to give Seattle a 4-2 lead. 3 home runs against Justin Wrobleski, who had allowed just 8 in 107 innings all season before this game. The Dodgers fought back with characteristic resilience. Tommy Edman hit an RBI double in the fourth, and Ohtani followed with an RBI single to tie the game at 4-4. Max Muncy then opened the fifth with a solo home run to give Los Angeles a 5-4 lead. The Dodgers had erased a 2-run deficit and taken the lead for the third time in the game. That lead also disappeared. Dominic Canzone hit a 433-foot home run in the sixth inning to tie the game at 5-5. And in the eighth inning, with Seattle reliever Jose Ferrer on the mound, Canzone struck again. A 414-foot two-run shot off Alex Vesia that scored Julio Rodríguez and pushed the Mariners ahead 7-5. The Dodgers made one final push in the ninth against closer Andrés Muñoz. Dalton Rushing singled. Ohtani doubled to right, a ball misplayed by Mariners defensive replacement Victor Robles, allowing Rushing to score and Ohtani to reach third. The tying run was 90 feet away with nobody out. But Andy Pages struck out. Freddie Freeman grounded out without scoring Ohtani. Max Muncy walked to load the bases, and Mookie Betts hit a ground ball to short to end the game. Final score, Mariners 7, Dodgers 6. The Dodgers blew 3 separate one-run leads and hit into 3 double plays, including a critical bases loaded, nobody out double play by Freeman in the third inning that killed what should have been a big inning. 5 Mariners home runs in total. For a team whose pitching staff had been one of the best in baseball all season, it was a night to forget on the mound. While Ohtani's home run provided a major positive development for the Dodgers, his situation on the pitching mound remains completely unchanged, and that is worth covering clearly for every fan who is following this story. Ohtani has not pitched since before the All-Star break. His left knee, which had fluid drained on July 12, has not yet recovered to the point where the Dodgers feel comfortable putting him through the full mechanical demands of a starting pitcher's delivery. A bullpen session that was expected to take place over the recent road trip was postponed after his knee regressed slightly following an earlier session in Philadelphia. The Dodgers have made the decision to wait until Ohtani himself reports feeling 100% before resuming his pitching progression. Dave Roberts has been consistent and clear in his messaging on this subject. The team is in no rush. They have Justin Wrobleski, an all-star this season, to fill a rotation spot. Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow are both expected to return before the postseason. Edwin Diaz returning to close games removes a major bullpen concern. And the Dodgers' organizational depth means they can afford to let Ohtani's knee recover on its own timeline without taking shortcuts. The value of a healthy Ohtani pitching in September and October, with his 1.79 ERA and 8-2 record from the first half of the season, is worth far more than any individual regular season start. The Dodgers made this calculation clearly and they are sticking to it. For now, Ohtani continues as the everyday designated hitter. And after Tuesday's performance, a home run, an RBI single and a ninth-inning clutch double, that role is not a diminished one. It is a critical one. Here is the bottom line from Tuesday night at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers lost the game 7-6 in a result that exposed real weaknesses in both the starting rotation and the bullpen. Justin Wrobleski gave up 4 home runs to a Mariners lineup hitting .230 on the season. Alex Vesia allowed the go-ahead 2-run homer in the 8th. And the offense, despite generating 11 hits, hit into 3 double plays and stranded the tying run on third base with nobody out in the 9th inning. Those are problems. Real ones. And they need to be addressed, through the trade deadline, through the returns of Diaz, Snell and Glasnow, and through the kind of consistent execution that separates good teams from championship teams. But here is what else happened on Tuesday night. Shohei Ohtani hit his 23rd home run of the season. He ended a 9-game drought with a 432-foot leadoff blast on a 2-strike slider. He drove in 2 more runs with an RBI single and a clutch 9th-inning double. And through it all, he showed the specific signs of mechanical improvement. The stable lower body, the clean bat path, the elite contact on a difficult pitch, that suggest his timing is returning to the level that made him the best hitter in baseball last season. 1 home run does not erase a slump. But this home run, hit this way in this situation at this point in the season, is exactly the kind of swing that signals a turning point. The drought is over. The form is coming back. And with the postseason still the only destination that matters, the Dodgers need Ohtani to build on Tuesday and carry that momentum through August and into October. That is all for today. If you made it this far, smash that like button, subscribe to Baseball Tribune, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a story. Drop a comment below. Do you think Ohtani's home run Tuesday is the turning point in his slump? We want to hear from every fan watching right now. Share this with every Dodgers fan you know. We will see you in the next one right here on Baseball Tribune.